Good afternoon, Ma.
Good afternoon.
Mrs. Dotun Akonde, the founder of Patrick Speech Language Center. You're so welcome, Ma. Amazing journey having you here. And I'm so happy that I finally get to meet you. So let's get right into it. We know that you are the founder of the Patrick Learning Center.
Okay.
So what do you do?
At Patrick Speech and Language Center, we are dedicated to supporting children and families of individuals living with autism. Not only autism, actually, we deal with language development disorder, delayed speech, hyperactivity, attention deficit. So we are a cocktail of a lot of things, but mainly our mission is to support every child that has autism and related developmental disorder to help them reach their full potential. That is always that's what we strive to do.
What inspired you to start it?
My son was diagnosed at 2 when autism was very well unknown as at the time. And by the time he got to the age of 5, we began to see a change. We got in a speech and language therapist to come to the house. First, diagnosis was difficult because for a long time, everybody kept saying, oh, it's a boy, boys talk late, don't worry, he will outgrow it, and all those jargons. And until I found a doctor that introduced me to a speech and language therapist. So it was the doctor that first diagnosed him. Then the speech and language therapist started with him. Then we got a music therapist to support him. And I was doing self-help skills and functional life skills. And by the time he got to 5, we started to see a change. I mean, the words started to come. He had words actually at 18 months. And then by 24 months, we've noticed that the words trailed off and he wasn't saying anything. So by 5, the words began to come, and then we began to see quite a lot of other things that he was very good at. Very good at maths, his attention improved, his hyperactivity reduced because he used to pace. He used to pace up and down, and that reduced, with therapy, with interest, with more and more of interaction with him. His improved social skills. He began to join his peers in choreography, which I found was simply amazing. That was my first light bulb that, wow, you mean this boy can do choreography. I was totally amazed. And he choreographed to open the eyes of my heart, Lord. I was flabbergasted. And that was then when I made it a mission that I must find out what this thing is about. Because at first, I didn't know what it was. And then over time, with learning the skills that he needed, to support himself. Everything was difficult. Brushing his hair was difficult. Cutting his hair was difficult. Dressing up was difficult. Everything was difficult. But eventually it was attainable. So I decided to set up the first autism center in Nigeria out of this experience.
Awesome. Well done, Ma. You said something about music and something else that helped.
Speech and language therapy and music therapy.
Okay.
Music is very powerful. We all know that, and it hits a certain part of our brain that some things don't get to. So, for instance, when you call some of our children, they appear deaf. When you call them by their first name, but when you sing their name, you get a different reaction. So it hits a certain part of the brain that lights up that bulb that brings joy, out of it. That brings it denotes love. So we always encourage parents, let the child play an instrument. That usually helps. And plus, with playing an instrument, you need both hands to be able to do it effectively. So you are training both sides of the brain, whether it's the piano, whether it's the drum, whether it's the cello, whatever, or the bass, you are using both hands. So with the work of the motor skills, the fine motor skills, you are developing and you are stimulating both the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain, which is what typically we do with therapy with children with autism.
Wow, that's interesting because I'm Montessori trained, and one of the things that we talk about a lot is play through the hands, using muscles, building up the brain. And now that you have said it, I can understand that we need to use the hands a lot because it helps, it goes through the brain as they play. So, what personal growth or insights have you gained from this journey?
Amazing is not the word. I'm looking for that word that is bigger than amazing, because every day there is a new insight. For instance, we say all the time that early intervention is very, very key and very important. But we find out that even late intervention is possible. For someone, they say when a child is 5 years, it's impossible. There's no impossibility with autism. At any age, a child can just, with the right therapy, the enriched environment, the acceptance of the parents, the specialized therapy that is directly related to that child's needs. Because if you've seen one child with autism, you've seen just that one child. You cannot use the same style of therapy to work with another child. So you must tailor their therapy style to their learning style. And there are different learning styles. Some of them are auditory learners. They learn by hearing. Some are kinesthetic learners. They learn by moving. And a lot of them are kinesthetic learners, and we don't know it. We are fond of saying, sit down there, come there, don't go there, do this. But they are learning.
Of course.
Kinesthetic learners, they are learning. Some of them are visual learners. If you don't put it in pictures, they will not be able to understand it. And some of them learn from copying of their peers. So you have to know what helps that child to learn better. And then you tailor the child's therapy towards the child's needs.
So I can understand if you had traveled abroad. What made you say, no, I'm going to stay in Nigeria and start here in Nigeria?
First of all, I believe in Nigeria. And then my husband is not somebody, my husband loves Nigeria, by the way. And I believe strongly that our intellectual capability in Nigeria is very strong. When we started, nobody knew what autism was. The teachers, I had to train the teachers from scratch. I would bring in a resource person from the UK, US to come and teach us how it's done. We will adopt it, we will fine-tune it, we will culturize it, add our cultural bit to it, adapt it to make sure that it fits our culture, and then we individualize it. So you see that a lot of adaptations goes into that. So with that in play, we're able to design our own curriculum to fit our unit. So we were very, very, very intentional about using Nigerians. And the Nigerians that we've used, many of them have gone ahead to do great things. They're all over the place. They're all over Nigeria. And their roots is deep in Patrick's.
Congratulations. Well done. Very well done, ma.
Thank you.
You said something earlier about acceptance of parents. I know for a fact, because I'm a mom myself, and sometimes, when you see some things in your children, you do not want to accept. Sometimes you say, "Omodeshini." Sometimes you say, I reject it in Jesus' name. Sometimes you even hide the children so that another person will not fed you more, So, what is that advice you can give to moms, parents, when they find something that's different in their child? How would you advise them to go about it?
The first thing I would say is that difference is not death, and difference is not defiance, and difference does not mean that the child will not do well. So the first thing they need to do is to accept. I tell anybody, without that acceptance, no matter how skilled the therapist is, you will not see improvement in that child. The parents have to accept. It's in the acceptance that we can work as a team to help that child reach his or her full potential. And then what is the full potential? It depends on how affected the child is. There's moderate, there's mild, there's severe. You can go from severe to mild, and you can go from mild to severe if attention is not given to it. So the most important thing is acceptance. I was talking about the story of a young lady on Instagram. I follow her on Instagram. She's an amazing mom. She has 3 children on the spectrum. And the minute she finds out that, my next child is on the spectrum, she starts to work with that child. She doesn't do restrictions. We do restrictions because sometimes we get them late. She does not restrict those children. She works with those children as they will. She does a lot of repetition, which is something that we must take into cognizance. Reiteration. Let them do it over. Practice. Our children have gone from non-speaking to speaking. They've improved their attention from not learning to learning. So you see, it's the acceptance cannot overlooked. It cannot be underestimated. You must accept that something is not right. When you accept, then you look for the solution. Without acceptance, how do you find solution? You keep rejecting it in Jesus' name. And our children have what I call the sixth sense. They have the gift of knowing our emotions. And it's our emotions that determine sometimes their behavioral attitudes. So when you see the child is all over the place, sometimes you need to go look at what is happening in the home environment. That goes a long way to tell us what it is. And also, you need to find out what the child is eating. What is the child eating? Very, very vital and very important. Nutrition is also a very big aspect of it. If you feed the child junk, you are going to get junk, and the child is going to be all over. Not all our children can digest a lot of the junk out there. So we need to know what is going on in the gut. If we don't heal the gut, a lot of it will go straight into the brain, and then we'll find that the child is behaving like somebody that has taken opium. So those are the things that you would see in the children. It's a lot. It's not one thing. It's a lot of things. And if we are going to see everything here, we'll be here for another hour.
Thank you. How do you think society can better support and include autistic individuals?
By embracing them. They learn by, like I said, by repetition, and their environment matters. The society needs to give support to the parents. It's not a walk in the park. Having a child with autism is not a walk. Many people say, okay, yes, I have autism. I don't want people to say that autism should be cured. I don't want to say it's who I am. If you see a child with severe autism, you would want that child to have a life. You don't want that child to wallow in the challenges that he faces on a regular basis. You want to help that child live a full and functional life. I mean, if the child is mild, it's a different case. There are ways in which we can support that child in the environment. But once it's severe, it affects everything in the family. It affects the parents, affects the child, it affects the grandparents, it affects the friends that come around. The parents are just not settled. It's a 24 hours is never enough in a whole day when you have a child with severe autism. So charge to the society is they should be accommodating, they should be inclusive, they should find out, they should ask questions. They should ask questions. How do you want me to help you? Do you need help? Can he come and stay with me for 1 hour, 2 hours while you get some sleep? Can the church be there to help? Can the mosque be there to help? That's a different interview entirely.
What message would you like to convey to policymakers or stakeholders about autism awareness and support?
For policymakers and stakeholders, your support cannot be overemphasized because financially it's draining for the parents. It's draining. At Patrick's, we have 58 children, and out of those 58, 15 are on scholarship under our Pure Souls Learning Foundation program. And we've done that now we are in our 20th year. And so you can imagine, for the government, the policy to give centers the leeway, take something off them, take something that they would ordinarily have spent money on, take it off them, so they can, in the same vein, take it off the parents. And find things that the children can do. For instance, we have children that have grown up to be adults. They need jobs. Let there be policy to be able to employ them. Not only employ them, learn about them before they come into your community. Learn about them before they come into your office. We employ them. And that is because we know them and we know they are good hands. They are hands that you can use at any point in time. They are hands that never leave you. Their grandfather never dies 5 times, like others. So it's imperative that we keep talking about this and sharing this advocacy. The government can help with advocacy. They can help create opportunities where we can speak to the minds of people that will be able to help. Let there be trust funds available to these children. Let philanthropists rise, to help these families. It's a lot. It's not, you're already dealing with a child on the spectrum, and then you have to deal with the financial aspect of it. It's not cheap. At Patrick's, we have 58 children, and we have over 40-something members of staff. You can imagine what that means. Yeah. It's a lot. And if you want quality service, good service, it costs money. It's not cheap. So the society can help lift the hands of these parents and support them and give them that warm embrace, warm environment, so that they can also thrive in their own way.
What traditional or cultural practices have you incorporated into your center's program?
When you say traditional or cultural, in terms of what? That is very vague.
Okay, so I know that sometimes for a child that cannot walk, cultural practice, some people dig the floor and put the child up to like the chest level, and then after some time the child can walk. Or some people send their children to villages. People in the city, some send their children to villages and then they mingle. Or those are some cultural things, and child they'll actually start working. At least that's what they know. That's what we know to do.
Mm.
So
So
things
when
like
you
that.
talk about cultural and traditional, they are very deep and far between. So you would say something like, in terms of traditional, we make sure that we find ways in which we can adapt our therapy to suit that child. Like I said to you, what happens in the home? So I'll give you an example. We have a 38-year-old that came to us for therapy,
Eh,
and we found out that we tried to speak to him on various occasions, and he wasn't responding until one day we just decided to speak in Yoruba, and then found out that that's what should be spoken in the home
Wow.
environment.
Wow.
And he responded, even though he's still not a talker. He responded to the Yoruba part of it. So it tells us that whatever we're trying to do, we have to find out what happens in the home environment. So when we are looking at cultural, we are looking at adapting whatever therapy we are using, or whatever pictures we decide to use. We bring it down to the Nigerian factor. We bring it down to the pictures that have to do with Nigerians. We don't use Caucasian children's picture to teach our children because many of them are very visual. So those are the cultural aspects of it. With regards to digging and putting, nah, we don't go that deep.
No,
But
I
what
mean,
happens
yeah.
typically sometimes is that when parents are overwhelmed, they do take their children to their parents who resides in the village. And sometimes the social interaction of the Nigerian culture is very rich, and it helps our children do well in terms of social interaction, in terms of engaging, in terms of repetition, in terms of especially children that know how to copy skills. So now what you need to do is to do peer tutoring or peer mentoring and allow the peer to teach the child rather than the adults teaching the child.
Awesome. How do you measure success, and what outcomes have you seen in the individuals and the families?
So what we do is at the end of every assessment period, when we do our assessment, our initial assessments, we draw up a plan. That plan is called individualized educational plan. That's the IEP. So we now work with that plan. That plan has different criteria in which we must score the child. So at the end of 3 months, at the end of just like the typical children do exams, we do progress reports. So from that progress report, we would see, even before then, we usually have a monthly meeting where we look at the successes and the challenges, which one of the children is improving, and how are we measuring it, and what are the challenges, and where is the child improving. The child might be improving in speech and language therapy and struggling with behavior, or the child might be struggling with physical and then also excelling in speech. So we like to, look into our style of teaching and ask, what are you doing that I'm not doing? So we kind of have that interaction every month. At the end of every month, we come out with a report, and then we kind of rejuggle the IEP unofficially. And then at the end of the term, we come with the full IEP, we look at the progress reports, we see where the child is struggling, and then we carry it over to the next area. We see where the child has done very well and still needs generalization, which means that he can speak in this particular setting but struggles to speak in this setting. So we need to generalize that skill from that setting into the other setting, so the child will be able to speak wherever the child is. So those are what we call generalization skills. So we look at that, and then we look at how much time also we have dedicated to individual therapy time, because we have group time and we have individual time. So we look, do we need to put more time in the individual learning, or do we need to add more time in group learning? So that way, depending on what we see, so that's how we are able to, look at progress, and our children do well. I tell you, Nigeria is a very rich place. Our children, people bring their children from abroad to Nigeria, not necessarily Patrick's. So I'm telling you about the environmental part of Nigeria and the richness we have in our weather, in our culture, in our soil, that helps our children to do well when they come back.
What partnerships or collaborations have been instrumental in your center's growth and impact?
The biggest partnership that we've had is in our training school. When we saw that everybody was jumping on autism spectrum disorder, they would pick somebody off the streets and bring the person into the center and say, this is a therapist. And everybody became a therapist, because the awareness grew. We didn't stop talking. We kept talking. More centers opened. More people came into the community, and everybody wanted to make money off it. We decided to come together as a team, a behaviorist, a speech and language therapist, a medical doctor, an occupational therapist. And then we took on um, some other people. I'm the lead facilitator for that. So we came together as a team to say, let's set up a training school. That we've done successfully. And many of the, at least they have the knowledge, they know what it entails to support children with autism. So the training school has been our biggest part of it. Another good one is our art community, the community that we look for the strength of the children and help them to grow in their place of strength without judgment.
Is there a way that moms, parents can prevent a child from having autism?
We don't know the cause. Because we don't know the cause of autism, there's no way we will be able to prevent it. So we need to know what the cause is for us to be able to prevent it. And because we don't know the cause, there's no way. What we always encourage is when you get pregnant, please stay healthy as much as possible. Try to eat healthy things. Try to keep your body in shape, ready to receive the children.
What are your long-term goals for the Autism Center?
That's a big one. My long-term goal is to have a place where we can get the children to do assisted living. That's my long-term goal, to see them thrive on their own without support. So if we are doing assisted living, somebody comes in once in a while to check up on them while they live on their own. That's my dream.
I'd like to see that. What message of hope or inspiration would you like to share with the autism community?
I'm a vessel of hope. First, with my son. My son is a first-class mathematics graduate.
Ooh.
And a PhD holder.
Wow.
So that's the first hope you need to see.
Mm-hmm.
Then, the hope of the children that have passed through us. If you go on our website or on our Facebook or Instagram page, you will find the story of one of our young children who, when he started with us, couldn't speak and now speaks 3 languages.
Amazing.
Daniel is such an amazing inspiration.
Amazing.
Then you will also see our art exhibition. The children that we've been able to support in art is simply amazing. You just need to go and see it. There is nothing that you can say that you cannot just... when you see the art pieces, and then we're looking at Kanye, who broke the world record, of having the largest canvas, it's on the spectrum. What else do you need?
He is on the spectrum?
He is on the spectrum. He's non-verbal, by the way. He doesn't speak. Yes. So you can go look at that. Kanye Chukwutagbo Okeke doing great work, taking Nigeria to another level. It's on the autism spectrum.
Wow. Oh, the 15-year-old.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Yes, I want you to quickly talk about the Pure Soul. I saw
Pure Soul Learning Foundation is our scholarship arm where we support families, and we currently are full. Unless we have somebody that wants to take up some more families to support. We have done quite well with Pure Souls. It's done great work with families. It's taking families to places where we don't even imagine. Some of our children on scholarship have gone on to do great things. Some of them, in fact, when we started Pure Souls, we took everybody. We didn't even look at autism. Some of them came without walking. They all walked. All the children that came on that umbrella, they walked. Some of them went to other special schools. Some of them went to hearing impaired school. Some of them went to visually impaired school. So Pure Souls has done great work in terms of...
When you say walked, as in...
Walk. Okay. That couldn't walk.
Walk. Oh, wow. Okay.
And then Pure Souls has done community awareness. We go into the community. We look at families that are struggling, those that cannot come into the center. We open a WhatsApp page. We train them. From that WhatsApp page, some children that could not walk have walked. Some that could not talk have talked. And many of them are doing great things. So Pure Souls is just our beauty. And we are blessed, to be part of that story.
We at the BAMCO want to say thank you for a wonderful job. Well done. And we applaud you and we say God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. We love you.